Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Phillip, and we're going to talk about how the Apple Card has absolutely destroyed every other credit card when it comes to grocery spending. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys to hit like and subscribe. Now let's get into the news. So the Apple Card has a brand new sign-up bonus that if you're targeted for it, you can get the standard $75 reward after making a single purchase on the card on any purchase in groceries for the next 6 months after you get the card. That means that this card is your best option for grocery purchases if you're a cashback shopper, at least for the next 6 months. And now there's a whole lot of other reasons to have the Apple Card as well, which we'll get into, but that's kind of the big deal. 5% cashback on grocery purchases for 6 months, in addition to the regular $75 sign-up bonus if you're targeted for those both things. But right now there's a link that's available in the description below for the grocery percentage back, and so that's kind of what's going on right now, and that's why we're talking about the Apple Card now. So we have to talk then about what are the other options for grocery store spending. So MasterCard here, which means that can include, Costco, right? But we can take a look at some of these other cards that we're using for grocery and see how it matches up. So if you're strictly team cashback, you're pretty much looking at, you could get a 3% cashback card with, say, the Saver card, which has, $0 annual fee, $0 foreign transaction fees as well. But then, it's cashback that you can only do towards a statement credit, or you might be able to, convert them into venture miles if you have a different credit card that you're paying an annual fee for. Or actually, if you have the venture one, you don't have to pay an annual fee to get venture miles, but that's kind of more complicated than just straight cash back. We also have the Robinhood Gold card, which earns 3% cash back on every single purchase, although it does have an annual fee of $50. I'm calling it an annual fee. And, then you have to do some rigmarole where you have to transfer your cash back into your brokerage account before you can actually get it. So that's also a little bit more limited than the Apple Card cash back. If you're on the points and miles system, you could get the American Express Gold card at 4x back. So you're getting 4 membership reward points per dollar after you spend, on any grocery purchase. And this is up to $25,000 in spend. However, that card comes with an annual fee of $325. It's a lot more than the $0 annual fee card on the Apple Card. So that's a possibility. Now, you also do have some other options, right? You can get, the Citi Strata Premier, which gets you 3x back on grocery store purchases. You can use the Built Card, which gets you 3x back on grocery purchases. If you make that your, the Obsidian, if you make grocery purchases that your category for the Obsidian card, you can get 3x back on that, or you can boost it up to 4x if you do the Point Accelerator, which is also kind of a cool deal. Now, the other thing that kind of may be kind of the tiebreaker or the deal breaker here is the Citi Custom Cash card. So the Citi Custom Cash card gets you 5x back on up to $500 in spend per month in your preferred category. And so basically grocery stores can be in that category. So if you're someone who spends less than $500 a month on groceries, which I don't know if there's a whole lot of us out there, at least maybe you're not spending that much on groceries, but you're going out to eat a little bit more. But if you have kids or something like that, you're probably spending more than that anyway, but you do get 5x back. And at least with the Citi Custom Cash, you can redeem those thank you points for 1 cent per point as cash back. And so that can be a solid option as well. Now with Citi, you can make that cash back actual transferable points because you can get the Citi Strata Premier or the Citi Strata Elite card. And so you have a couple different options when it comes to, getting points out with that. But if you are team cash back, 5% cash back is hard to beat, at least for the next 6 months. And now that is come with a cap up to $500 in total bonus daily cash. And so basically that is a lot of grocery spend, right? So you're probably not going to hit the $500 just off of the next 6 months, but it is possible to, if you're, someone who's trying to maximize, say, gifts or gift cards or something like that. But this 5% cash back is huge and kind of comes at a really interesting time because we're seeing where the PayPal debit card has also been nerfed, where that one still earns 5% on whatever category you choose, and it can do grocery stores, but they're kind of limiting how you can actually redeem that cashback rewards. And so it can only be on pay at checkout with PayPal. And so that has a lot of different limited options. But the Apple Card is pretty easy because the cashback here either can go into your Apple savings account or it can go into your Apple Cash card, which you can kind of send anywhere. And so you can actually transfer from your Apple savings account into anywhere else. And then you can also and that's nice too because it converts to your Apple savings account daily, and that earns it's a high yield savings account. So that actually earns interest on your rewards pretty much immediately after you actually start getting your rewards. So 5% cash back plus interest is really, really huge. So that's really nice. And it's very easy to get my Apple savings account cash out of there into my Chase account, which is kind of my main checking account. And that actually takes basically one business day just to transfer over. Okay, so before we get too far into the rest of the important information about the Apple Card, I have to talk to you about weight loss. So I have to share with you my personal journey. I've actually lost over 100 pounds and I have been working out, right? But also I've been on the shots. And so the shots have been really helpful for me. I have been able to kind of think less about food and kind of actually still be able to go about my day as long as I'm drinking plenty of water and eating the right amounts of proteins and things like that. But it helps me to kind of still stay focused on the main goal, and that's losing weight and being more healthy for my wife and my son. So that's really been insanely helpful, losing 100 pounds over basically a year and a half or so. And it's all thanks to those shots. So if you're interested in actually taking a look at whether or not these shots might be helpful for you when you're trying to get a little bit more healthier for your family or whoever it is you want to be helpful for, even if it's your cat, yeah, no shade here, right? You want to be around for your cat, your pets. But yeah, no. So these are really good options. I really kind of stand by them, and just hit the link in the description below to kind of take a look at what that might look like for you, because it has been really expensive in the past and maybe your insurance isn't covering it. But there are a lot of different players in that field now that are actually competing for your business. And in fact, actually, this link will take you to most of them and they'll tell you what their price is up front. So go ahead and hit that link in the description below and figure out if starting your weight loss journey through these shots is right for you. I can say that it was right for me. A lot of things in my life are better. Like I can walk taller. I can carry my back straight. Like one of the things that I get to do is because I have to feed my son. And so I have to, hold his head and do that. But I'm able to actually carry him and do that because I have a lot less weight here. And that means that my muscles are stronger. I'm working out better. It doesn't hurt as much when I do work out. So a lot of things in my life are better, including in the bedroom. We got to talk about that. But anyway, let me know in the description below, or let me know in the comments if this actually means something to you. Hit the link in the description below to see if this is something you might want to consider. But anyway, let's get back into the Apple Card and see if it's right for your wallet. Okay, so what are the other reasons for wanting to get the Apple Card? So the Apple Card here is, first of all, it's really nice. You can hear it. Let's see if we can hear actually this. Yeah, you can hear the Apple Card. That's pretty nice. You can actually see it. It looks really cool. And you can actually I can show you the back because there's no card numbers on it. Now, this card is kind of weird in that it kind of punishes you for actually using the really pretty physical card. This only earns you 1% cash back if you ever use the physical card. However, you do get some better options. Anytime you're using Apple Pay, you automatically get 2% cash back on any purchase, and that's unlimited. So not only is this your 5% grocery card for the next 6 months, this is your 2% catch-all card as long as you use Apple Pay. So if you have a physical card, it might be good to get that as a catch-all in case someone doesn't take Apple Pay. But if most of your purchases are on Apple Pay anyway, this could be a solid option as a catch-all too. Now, it does also earn 3%, but those are kind of weirdly specific. It's only with certain retailers like Panera Bread used to be one, Walgreens is currently one, Nike, Apple, if you use the Apple Card at Apple, you're getting 3% cash back. And so that's kind of interesting, but it's less reliable. So we get the 5% cash back with that limit of $500 in total rewards earned. And then the 2% cash back on everything else, 3% on Apple and a couple of other stores, and then 1% when you actually use the physical card, all for, again, $0 annual fee. And what's also important too, $0 in foreign transaction fees. And so if you want to be able to have a travel card, this is not a bad option either. And so that's really cool. Now, another couple of things that are really nice about using this card is if you're someone who is buying Apple stuff, if you actually use your Apple Card in the Apple Store at checkout, you can actually put that over time and 0% interest, right? So that can be, 6 months to 12 months to 18 months, depending on the type of thing you're buying. So that can be really huge. And that actually goes against your credit limit, but you also still earn the 3% cash back on top of the 0% interest rate. So that's also really solid. So if you are someone who, say, wants to buy a new iPhone or something, this is a great option to buy it because you still get that 3% cash back on that purchase, but then you also get to put that in 0% interest and pay it off over a year or 18 months, depending on whatever it is the terms are for the card that you actually get. So that's also really huge again. So it's one of the great cards here, and it's one of the prettiest cards that I have, but it's also a really interesting card that gets a decent amount to spend every year because of those two things, because it's, great catch-all card, and it also codes that 3% cash back on Apple subscription purchases as well. And so if you're someone who's, say, subscribing to news apps on your phone and you do it through the Apple Store, that's 3% cash back. And so that actually can help a little bit as well. So if you're someone who says Apple Care or something like that, where that's a subscription model, you're getting 3% cash back on those purchases too. And so I do probably get maybe $150, $200 a month and spend on this card, and more, obviously, if I'm buying a phone or something like that. But yeah, it's a pretty solid card. I love it. It's definitely one of those that I'm not going to probably ever get rid of, just because it's really utility. It has a lot of utility for, like, if I want to replace my Apple Watch or something like that. So that's really solid. Now, another thing that we have to mention too is it's currently with Goldman Sachs. However, it will move to Chase over the next couple of years. And so this card will become a Chase card over time, and that might mean that Chase will allow you to change some of that credit limit to another card, or maybe even you could product change it in the future, although Chase is kind of restrictive with their product changes, specifically with families. So like if I have a Southwest card, I can only transfer that product, change that to other Southwest cards. So maybe that may be less of an option. Another thing that some people are saying is you might be able to convert your cash back into, Chase Ultimate Reward points, which I feel like that's probably less likely to actually be a thing, but that still could be exciting. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this particular card, because I like it. I really think that this offer in particular is really interesting and worth considering. And let me know if you plan on adding it to your wallet. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.